We've got into the climax of your favorite breakfast show this morning on ITV. And talking points today on the discuss will be issues about vote buying and how it has influenced electoral process in Nigeria contemporarily. And of course, we look at the state assembly elections as it applies to Edo State. Talking with us on this, starting from my immediate left, is a seasoned and articulate legal practitioner, Emmanuel Obakbolo. Thanks for joining me.
Good morning, Nigerians. Good morning, Mr. Philip.
And next is another seasoned lecturer, University of Benin, a political scientist, worth his onions, and it's Neville Obakedo. Thanks for coming, Neville.
ITV, thank you for having me this great Thursday morning, and happy viewing listeners and viewers at home.
All right, the elections must have come and gone, but it's still leaving its trail, which it didn't fail to do that. It lives in its trail challenges, electoral challenges that have continued to characterize our electoral process. And one of these challenges is vote buying. How do you see this aspect, this menace of vote buying playing out in the elections we had in February 25, and of course the governorship and state assembly elections as it relates to influencing elections in Nigeria? Emmanuel.
Well, the policy of Naira redesign appeared to have solved the issue or the practice of vote buying, as it were. Particularly the presidential and National Assembly elections of the 25th of February 2023. The magma of vote buying was not witnessed as such, because even we saw where candidates were now not at home with that policy, because some of them saw it, particularly the ruling party candidates, saw it as a snare for him not to have succeeded. And that's why some of us asked the question, was it that he had the plan to rig the election by vote buying? So, be it as it may, the presidential election, we didn't witness much of that. But we now saw it play out in another way. And what was that way? We saw how the INEC chairman, the person of Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, began to retreat from the earlier promise, and also the regulations, INEC's regulation and guidelines, particularly paragraph 38 AB, wherein it was spelled out there that INEC shall transmit results electronically. We saw a renege from that principle as captured by INEC regulation and guidelines. And to my mind, with all due respect to whoever is listening, that was another form of vote buying.
Well, you can't say that because
you don't have my opinion.
You don't have the statistics or the verifiable figures to show that.
A sister station.
I think it would be better if we just stay hold on vote buying.
It's vote buying now. Vote buying can come in different forms.
Okay,
and I want to tell you the forms it played out. We also saw the elections of 18th March 2023, governorship and House of Assemblies election. We saw. This time, you saw the reporters. I was here in this platform where the reporters were not saying that they were not giving cups of rice and wrappers. We heard that. We saw it. We witnessed it.
That is established, but how does it translate to the electoral umpire's chairman?
I told you his own part of it, wherein he reneged, he retreated from the earlier promise and the guidelines, INEC guidelines.
That has nothing to do with vote buying.
Oh! A lot of water went under the bridge, because that act was not ordinary.
Well,
Well, that could be
As
speculations, and we can't rely
ordinary
on
as
speculations.
it may seem,
However, yesterday, I watched a sister station wherein the vice presidential candidate of the Labour Party quoted a particular amount that they've traced to in dollars. But let's leave that.
Because
now.
we can't verify.
Yes,
We can
but
actually
now,
verify.
for the governorship and House of Assembly, we saw rappers being given to people, both male and female, women.
Well, there were situations actually where some of these perpetrators were actually caught with these materials and were arrested.
Now they were caught and were arrested. Have you heard of any person being prosecuted?
We will still watch out how
Listen,
that plays out.
that is why if we abide to legal principles and how things should be done, so that those who intending doers of that act, the prosecution of those who carried out that act will not serve as deterrent to those persons, then we must give it urgency. But here we are. Before you know, all of the whole story will die a natural death. We will not hear of them again. And that is why you see, people are not afraid to commit crime. Unfortunately, and most unfortunate, in this country of ours, people are not afraid to commit crime. Because maybe they have the big wigs. Maybe they have those with the big stick.
Because of the impunity
behind
factor.
them, yes. So they commit crime with gross impunity. For goodness sake, how can a young man wake up from his house on an election day with the intent to go and steal ballot box, to go and destroy ballot papers, and at the end of the day, he will go home free, even in the presence of security men? We witnessed it in these elections. So, vote buying, we thought the 2023 general elections will stand as a springboard to tell every one of us that the dark age of vote buying is over. But to my mind, we saw it metamorphosed in another way.
Okay, okay, well, I'm going to pause you there for a while and go over to Neville. Now, like he said, the 25th of February election and that of the 18th of March was very different as concerning vote buying. Now, what did you think went wrong? What did you think was different about it? Because on 25th, we had issues, we had videos where people would actually say, I am not collecting your money. Go with your money. I know who I want to vote for. But that of the March 18 was probably not that, like that. What do you think went wrong? What did you think happened that made the people to at least relax?
In the first instance, the electoral process is guided by rules. And I have had the opportunity to appear on live programs, whether here or elsewhere. And we have discussed the subject matter of electioneering in Nigeria, in Africa, and in some other parts of the world. And taking that as a point of departure, I would like to quarantine the emotional outburst of my co-discussant here, who is a legal practitioner. And because he's a supposed servant in the temple of justice, when he is coming to address the people through a TV program of this nature, he should not make sweeping statements. Apart from being a legal practitioner and my co-discussant, he's my brother, my Christian brother and my friend. I want to put it to him, even though we are not in the law court now, that people who watch TV programs, they have information, sometimes more than those of us who talk on TV programs. And so, if there are others who don't have the information, the purpose of the TV program or radio program is to educate them. Now, he made a statement about the cash policy of the government of Nigeria, the federal government of Nigeria. And he pointedly referred to the APC presidential candidate in that election, who is not president-elect. The statement that he made making allusion to the fact that there was vote buying on the presidential election day. If he were to be dragged before court, will he be able to substantiate that statement? I believe he will not be able, because everything that was wrong with the cash policy, that is still wrong with the cash policy, the Supreme Court of the Federal Republic of Nigeria had addressed that. And Nigerians are waiting for the presidency, which is the executive arm of government, and the central bank, which also is a part of the executive arm of government, to implement in total the details of the ruling of the Supreme Court. I rest my case there. Election, whether in Nigeria or elsewhere, is a phenomenon that involves different stakeholders. I listen to some governors, including our state governor. I listen to presidents, past president, present president, and president of other countries, who usually make broadcast, nationwide broadcast, state broadcast to their citizens, appealing to them to abide by the rules of the electoral game. Now, on election day, what we see is a different ballgame. Now, you cannot single-handedly blame one stakeholder for the problems of an election. Let's talk about the issue of uploading of results to INEC server and IRF, as the case may be. You as an individual who is used to electronic devices use, you are aware that you can have glitches, you can have bugs. Sometimes the social media is shut down for 24 hours, 48 hours because of one technical problem or the other. That is the reason why those who organize the electoral process, they divided Nigeria into polling units in various communities. And the number one result that comes out of an election is contained in a form they call Form EC8A. That is the result. That is the authentic result. That is the result that determines who wins. Assuming, without conceding, that the only way to transmit the result and the result will be authentic is through the electronic transmission. When the matter is now before court, just as the matter is now before court, the presidential election matter is now before court, and the electronic device malfunctions, what will the court use to determine the outcome of the election? Is it not result from polling unit? It is result from polling unit. And that is why the crafters of the law, they did not leave anyone in doubt by ensuring that all political parties have agents in all the polling units. That even the result we are going to transmit, the result must be signed by all the agents. INEC will have a copy, police will have a copy, all the agents will have a copy. If anything happens to the result, when the result is now moved from the polling unit level to the ward level and the result is altered, that result that is now going to be in Form EC8B will not hold water. The court will rely on the result from the polling unit. So the matter is already before court. I may not make any further statement about it. But those who allege, because this is akin to a criminal case, those who allege should be able to prove. If INEC is a power to declare results, to organize the election, collect results and declare results, and they give you opportunity to provide agents so that in case there is any manipulation against your party, you can tether the evidence. You wait and tether the evidence. Okay. Instead of all these threats, conflicts.
I'll come back to you, but let's get the reactions because he made some statements which I believe you want to react to it.
Yes.
And let's see how we can change the narrative in terms of correcting this menace, making it tackled, most especially as it has to do with enforcement of the law as provided by the Constitution.
Yes. When you look at the Constitution, however, does not make provision for sanctions. The Constitution only provides for the laws. Then the Constitution gives room or because the constitution is said to be the gronom. So the constitution gives room to other existing laws. Are you getting it, sir? Which, some of which is like the Electoral Act, the extant Electoral Act. The Electoral Act vividly, expressly makes provision for sanction. In this election, in this last election, Sean, we just witnessed in this country, the Electoral Act provides sanction, frowns at first, vote buying by either the seller and the buyer, on them both. Then the Electoral Act provides doors that both the buyer and the seller are liable to 12 months imprisonment or 500,000 naira fine or both.
But don't you think that could be different because maybe the attention is on the vote buyer and not the vote seller?
No.
Because if we are to give an accord to what the president said about vote buying, you know, he said that the electorate can take the money, but vote their consciences.
Yeah,
which means maybe you are a legal practitioner anyways. Can you throw light in that direction? Is it really wrong? Is it a criminal issue, a crime issue for someone to accept money from vote buying?
Vote buying is a two sides of a coin. Both the seller and the buyer.
Both.
It's a two sides of a coin.
Liable.
Yes. And that, you see,
so if the buyer is being punished, the seller should.
Yes.
But how do we get the seller?
How do you get the buyer? We saw the agencies, EFCC and others, ICPC, at the polling units, though I qualified their president as a mere parade. For me, it's a gimmick. Because vote buying does not just start at the polling units. If you carry out proper... see, this is the only country where we are not proactive, particularly the security agencies.
You can't say the only country.
We are not...
You can't say the only country. I have an issue with when you generalize. You can't say the only country, but just be objective without necessarily making such a sweeping statements.
Nigeria is the only country where an elephant will fly, nobody will ask. I don't know how you take it.
Well, I actually have not seen an elephant fly.
That is it.
So I don't know what.
Because you will not bother to ask.
Out.
You will not bother to ask. I will not bother to ask. And that is why we are discussing this morning on vote buying. We saw it metamorphose into another form. Yet people qualify it. If the president says something that contradicts the law, who is right? Is it the president or the law?
That's a question.
So we saw a situation where elections that has been tagged. These elections is wearing, the last elections rather, is wearing the toga of incredibility. Elections that have been said to be, not to be fair.
Okay, but we can leave that for the court. We can leave that for the court.
Hello.
I think
you know the problem we have.
That's why you are a learned analyst.
That's why
I think we can leave that for the court to settle that.
The court is in the court. That's why INEC can tell aggrieved candidate go to court. For goodness sake, an unbiased umpire is the one now telling people to go to court. And nobody saw anything wrong with that.
But is it not advised?
Advice?
Are you saying that they should
what should have been the option?
It's not the business of INEC to tell any aggrieved party to go to court. You are an unbiased umpire, for goodness sake. It is not INEC's duty to begin to direct people to the court.
What insinuation are you taking from this?
It shows that something went wrong. There is something INEC is not telling us. I am not here to argue on the support of any person, but I want to say it the way it is. Like in the case of Muhammadu Buhari and Umar Yar'Adua of federal government, Oguntade JSC, as it then was, said, and I quote, "I will say the truth, even if the heavens will fall." Of course, when the truth is told, the heavens remain in place. And that is my position. And he had a dissenting judgment in that matter. Beautiful one. This is we want Nigeria to go forward. We want Nigeria to go onward. And we want Nigeria to go upward. But the principles adopted by our leaders will only take Nigeria backward. Please, vote buying, vote buying is a two-side of a coin. Both the buyer and the seller. And that is why whatever punishment that will be melted on the buyer should also be given to the seller. Because there is an agreement, there is a chain agreement between two or more persons to commit crime. But over here, we shift the goalpost from where it was to somewhere because we have the intention to favor a particular person.
Okay, thank you. That's quite your opinion on this, and this just to let our viewers know that the opinions shared on this platform are the opinions of the makers and not that of independent television. We're going to be extending the frontiers of this discussion after this break. Do stay with us.
Yeah, it's good to know you're still with us on TMI this beautiful Thursday morning. We've been talking about the 2023 polls, the 25th February presidential and the State House of Assembly and governorship election of March 18, and how vote buying influenced the process. We've been talking with Barrister Bakedo and...
No, it's not a barrister.
Okay, Barrister Bakpolo and Bakedo.
I don't know why his surname is almost like my own. It's causing confusion.
Well, you could critique it in the court.
Okay, so I'm actually coming to you now, okay, because I know you have reactions before we went on that break. Okay. So you have the floor.
Well, we are talking about vote buying. And we believe, erroneously, we believe that vote buying is a phenomenon that is associated with the general election, which is the election proper. Just like with the election we had on February 25, 2023, presidential and national assembly election, we narrow the subject matter of vote buying to that election. Then we now narrow it down to the election of February 18, I beg your pardon, March 18, 2023, which is a governorship and state houses of assembly election. Vote trading, as I prefer to call it, goes beyond that. Vote trading commences at the primaries level of the political parties.
Okay.
Political parties, the aspirants, they buy vote from their party delegates to emerge as the party candidates that will now contest in the general election. In that regard, the presidential aspirants of APC, for instance, they reach out through monetary terms to the delegates of the party. The presidential aspirants of the PDP, the Labour Party, they reach out to their delegates with cash to sway votes in their favor. That in itself is a problem of the Nigerian democracy.
But you can't single out a political party.
No, I just mentioned the rest. All the rest, I'm not singling
but you should have just been general without mentioning the name of any political party, because
by way of reversing myself.
We don't have the right panelists to discuss that or look into
by way of reversing myself. Political parties in Nigeria, without any exception, apart from those that we agree, maybe because of their mushrooming nature, to say we have a consensus candidate. The rest that go to the field to determine the candidate, they usually buy vote. And the information is in the public space. That is that. During campaigns, after the candidates have been thrown up, meetings with all kinds of group, traditional kinds of group, religious kinds of group, social kinds of group, money exchange hands preparatory for support for the general election. And then lastly, on election day and in the eve of the election, security agents and voters are now giving, as part of the continuous exchange that commences from party primaries, they are giving cash, money, gift, foodstuff to sway electoral outcome in favor of the political parties. Now, there is a punishment for vote buying as specified in the Electoral Act, which Obapolo Esquire referred to by talking about 12 months imprisonment or 500,000 naira fine or both. The question is this: the law is there. Who is going to apprehend a vote seller and a vote buyer and follow through to court to go and give evidence that I, as so person, on so day, as also polling unit or so constituency, I saw so person about to sell his or her vote, and so person was buying the vote, and I now called them. I'm here to give evidence in favor of what I found. No such person. And as a matter of fact, by the observation that we have had during election research survey, you will see security men pretending not to know what is going on, apparently because they may have taken their own share of the vote trade business.
So what you are saying is a fight in futility if we are to tackle that.
Yes, that
okay,
is
okay. But how do we come out of this? Because it's a doldrum, you know, that we've been placed in this direction.
The implication,
and we need to come out from this.
Yes, the implication of what I'm saying is that, in line with the problem of vote buying and vote selling or vote trading that we have been talking about, the statement that will be credited to Mr. President and Commander-in-Chief Muhammadu Buhari, that you should take the money that they want to use to buy your vote and vote
your conscience.
That in itself is a statement that is unbecoming.
The question is, do you have a conscience if you take money?
You don't have a conscience because the gift that will be given to you, a quote, has already compromised your intention to vote for a candidate of your choice.
Now, there's this...
And lastly, let me just end it here. Lastly, when people sell their vote, or people buy votes at primaries level during campaigns and on election day, the government that will emerge in a way will be an illegitimate government. That government will not be able to deliver to the people. And all of that problem that society will be having, problem of food scarcity, problem of security, all of them put together, they are traceable to the legitimacy gap that we have created by the kind of politics that we have been playing and the exchange, the economic exchange system that revolves around that process.
Now, what about the mindset that people have? And I hear people always say that it is our money, but let us collect it. It's our money in the first place. So the money used for vote buying by these political, candidates, it is our money. So we could actually collect it and still vote our conscience. How do you see such statements? I've actually seen major candidates actually preach that to their followers.
You see, when the Esquire was talking about the position of the law, that a giver of a bribe and a taker, they are guilty of the same punishment. I think they should not widen the scope of the law. That any person who preaches that you should involve yourself in crime, whether the president, whether the leader of a political party, should also be found guilty of the same offense, because there is no sense in encouraging somebody to collect money from somebody who has stolen.
With the mindset that
money was that the money was
national.
Your money. If you are aware that somebody stole your money, there are processes to recover the money and get the person punished. Instead of you to begin to look for a way to follow that process, you are now saying, collect the money, it's our money. Whose money? Who told you that it's your money? Who told you that it's your money? So, in any case, our society is a criminogenic society. And when we are clamoring that change should come on election day alone, without changes in our families, in our various communities, and in our various institutions where we work, whether public or private, we are just wasting time. We will just talk and talk and talk. Maybe within the next 1 year, all this talk about this election and the problems with it will just end. Then, when another election is around the corner, between 2026 and 2027, we now come again to start saying, this is the kind of election that we want. And when the election now comes and there's disappointment, we go back again. We'll just be revolving around the same cycle of not being combative in ensuring that the kind of society that we want is the society that we get.
Thank you, Neville Obakedo. We've been on in this election cycle, and we had the State Assembly election as it applies to Edo State on March 18, and where it brought about the PDP winning 12 seats so far, and we have the Labour Party having one, and of course the APC having 8, with inconclusive elections in some places like the Oredo East, Ego, and Ovia Southwest. How do you see this play out, in the State Assembly election?
The State Assembly election, we witnessed a lot of drama, to the extent that we saw violence even on the media. One of your reporters reported of how he was malhandled and maltreated because he was doing his job justly as he ought to do it. Even in the presence of security men and the deputy governor of this state. He reported it. And we saw a situation where violence was the order of the day. And Section 124, if my mind judges me correctly, of the Extant Electoral Acts prohibits violence. Section 131 of the Extant Act prohibits threats. And all of that we saw manifest.
It wasn't localized alone. We also had it in different parts of the country. And we are having this as a challenge, tackling thuggery in our political process. But how do you see a narrative where the Electoral Act was supposed to correct some areas where that has to do with ballot box snatching, theft of beavers? Do you see that as impacting on the election or the electoral process going forward?
Impacting negatively.
Looking at the Electoral Act,
yes,
as instituted,
is impacting negatively. We, in the words of late Chief Gani Fawaimi, he said, Nigerians don't learn from history. Nigerians only make history. And I add to it, Nigerians make history negatively, not just making history. And that's why the government, successive government in this country, particularly the extant government we have weaponized poverty. And by the time the people are poor, the gospel of take money, vote your conscience will be preached. If the people are not poor, you don't need to give any sermon to them. Their conscience will be intact. And that's why you see somebody can leave his house. The politicians sent their children abroad. But they use the instrumentality of other people's children to perpetrate all manner of arrogance. And you see them attacking people on election day. Even some were killed even before the elections. Is it normal?
There has been.
Why is it that in this country we have normalized all form of terrible activity?
There has been this argument that if we continue to have our public offices having this attractive outlook, it will continue to we'll continue to see issues like this. But there is need for us to make our public offices less attractive, so that we don't see this do or die mentality that's been involved in electioneering, with the political class. But you see that as something we can do just now?
I don't want to give in to that kind of advice or suggestion or a charade, as I'll call it. I don't want to give in to that. Because the same persons who will make the office less attractive are the politicians. And they are the beneficiaries of the attractions. So how are they going to make it less attractive?
Okay, let's get your reactions, Neville Obakedo.
My reaction: for an election to be declared inconclusive, it means that the margin of win between the leading candidate and the next candidate is less than the number of votes that have been cancelled. And so if election were to be conducted in those areas, the outcome of the election may change in favor of either the runner or other candidates. That's the reason why they declare election inconclusive.
Inconclusive.
But before elections are declared inconclusive, all the agents are already aware of the outcome of the election. They all have the results. And this is where we are having issues of whether people are under duress not to declare the winner of an election and to declare the result inconclusive so that they can come back and do some forms of manipulation for a preferred candidate of any leading elite in that area to carry the day. Time shall tell. But the other day, I did a paper with a colleague of mine on emerging trends in Nigerian democracy. The case study of election of an inconclusive polls. That document has been published, and we're able to do a thorough analysis of what the law says and how INEC has applied it in certain places to the satisfaction of everyone, and how INEC has not also applied it to the satisfaction of everyone in different places. Now, talking about thuggery, talking about violence, talking about all that is wrong with election, I insist that our society is a criminogenic society. And because it's a criminogenic society...
I'm sure you want to break that down.
Yes, it's a society that thrives on crime. It can be crime at the family level. It can be crime at community level. It can be crime at institutional level. It can be crime at organs of government level or levels of government level as well. And so it becomes difficult for us to tackle criminality, because those you have to cry to solve the problem of criminality are themselves involved in criminality. This is the problem. Now, it said that politicians send their children abroad, and then they use other children, other people's children, to perpetrate thuggery, violence, and the rest of them. And he said the politicians also leave the people to be poor. I agree that those who volunteer themselves to be used as thugs, when they know that these politicians that want to use them, their children are abroad, I agree that they are poor. I even agree that they may have psychological problems, that they require a psychiatric to examine them. Because a person that is sane and normal should not wake up and go and take the life of another person, or go and destroy an electoral process that is supposed to provide leadership for the people. And I believe that such a person is not normal. And the most annoying part of it, that we see such people captured on camera. They can be traced, and nothing is done about them. It shows that the capacity of the state to deliver on the legitimate use of force is hanging the balance. It shows that the elite who are presiding over the affairs of this country at various levels, who are supposed to lay the egalitarian foundation for crime and criminality to be consigned to the dunghill of history or be reduced to the barest minimum, they are co-conspirators in the crisis that the Nigerian state is facing. It is on this note that I have always agreed with my senior colleague and my lecturer at the University of Ibadan, who just died recently, Professor Fred Onyoziri, that one way to solve the problem of this country, starting from leadership, is citizenship combativeness.
Okay.
All right. Well, I think we'll actually let you drop it there.
Okay.
We'll take the final words of myself, Buffalo, on this issue of vote buying. Do you think there's a way forward? Like you said, we're going around the same circle. So in conclusion, do you think there is a way forward?
I don't see the way forward in Nigeria. Somebody may tag me to be and
pessimist.
to be pessimistic.
Yeah.
And I don't give a damn about that. But I will tell you the way it is. Because with the kind of foundation we have laid in this country, until we destroy that foundation and build another, we are going nowhere. For instance, those are the aim of affairs. Just like my Oga said here. They are beneficiaries of all of this. And they wouldn't want it to change. Instead, you see them replicating themselves. They groom themselves. Even when they depart the surface of this earth, those who they groom take over. We saw issue like that in George Orwell's piece titled Animal Farm. Where Snowball was snowballed out of the farm because he wanted to abide to a particular principle.
Okay.
And that is what we see here, sniffing of life out of people. When they discover that you want to do something right, they say, oh, let him leave this place.
Okay, in 10 seconds, what your projections are in terms of having a healthy Edo State House of Assembly?
Well, we are going to witness another form of drama. I do hope that Edo State will not be an empire where an emperor will control.
Let's get your final analysis.
On
the House of Assembly,
what's
your speculations about it?
the House of Assembly.
Yes.
The first thing is that
In 10 seconds.
the first thing is that the House of Assembly is an arm of government of its own, which is legislature. If the governor wants to have a smooth relationship as the head of executive with the legislature, whether they are of the same political party or not, he should lobby them. Lobbying is part of politics. Whether they are from different political party or not, he should lobby them. Lobby them can take the form of calling them on phone, visiting them where they are, and selling the idea of his policy to them so that they can look at it and see how they can support the government for the betterment of Edo State. Yes, we need a peaceful and a robust Edo State House of Assembly.
Thank you so much,
to what we have on
and big thanks to you, Emmanuel Obakwalo, for taking our time to be part of this. This is what we'll call it a wrap on TMI. Don't forget, tomorrow is another day for TMI. And after this time out, we're going to be having Business Rendezvous.